on the evening of August the 18th, 1992. Two men from Edinburgh, Gary Wood and Colin Wright, left Edinburgh to travel to the small village of Tarbrax in West Lothian. And it's a journey they've done many, many times before. They have no interest in UFOs. They're driving down this road, which in part is bordered by fields on either side. The odd house here, rolling hills, and the odd cottage there, very desolate. Driving down late at night, talking about that day's events. And then suddenly, Colin, who was in the passenger seat, alerted Gary to a strange black disc-shaped object which was hovering roughly 20-30 feet above the road, motionless, tremendous black shiny sheen on it. And they're looking at this and they knew that this was not a conventional helicopter or a conventional aircraft, and they decided not to stop the car and do a three-point turn. They decided that the best course of action would be to put the foot down hard on the accelerator and drive quickly underneath this object, if you can imagine this.
Yes.
And as the car was directly underneath this hovering object, this object emitted something like heavy silver snowflakes, just fluttered down and hit the car. Now, as soon as this effect hit the car, both men were enveloped in total and inky blackness. They couldn't see their hands in front of their face, they couldn't see the dashboard of the car, they couldn't see each other, they didn't know where they were. Now, seconds later, or what appeared to them to be seconds later, they regained their sight. The car was shuddering violently on the road. They didn't stop and they just screamed to their destination of Tarbrax. They knocked on the occupant's door who they were going to see, and the occupant says, "Where have you been? You're an hour and a half late. You should have been here ages ago." The journey, Chris, should only have taken 30 minutes and they were overrun by an hour and a half. Now, the thing happens here that that night and nights subsequent to that, they had strange, terrible nightmares, dreams, imagery coming into their mind. They found scars on their body which previously were not there. They decided, surely this cannot be one of those crazy UFO stories, can it? Can it? Maybe it is.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about this? So what they did, they went into the local library. They pulled out a book, I think it was by Jenny Randall's, prolific author.
Yes.
And they searched the contact columns at the back, and they went, the only Scottish contact was our own society, SBI. Let's phone Malcolm Robinson. Okay, so they contacted me. I listened on the phone to this incredible tale, got them over to my house in Alloa, where I stayed at that time, and I says, "Look, chaps, incredible story. Would you consider going under hypnotic regression just to see if perhaps something else happened that night?" They said, "Look, we'll do anything. We'll do absolutely anything just to find out what was happening." Okay, because I also said hypnosis is not the best tool to retrieve memories. You can confabulate.
Yes.
They said, just do it. We got a qualified hypnotherapist. It's a very long story, Chris, but the short part of the story is we used a qualified hypnotherapist. Separately, we regressed these guys, and they began to discuss the typical abduction scenario, which is similar to Venezuela, Peru, Canada, America.
Yes.
What they said, very briefly, was the car, after this effect came down and hit the car, they were stopped. The car was stopped in the road. They were forcibly taken out of this car by these small grey creatures. And as we know, these grey creatures are commonly seen throughout the world.
All over the world, yeah.
They are indeed. Generally, as you say, 3.5, 4 feet tall, childlike body, large pear-shaped head, almond-shaped eyes. And they were taken independently into this object, stripped naked, and Gary found himself placed on a flat raised table, and he was subjected to some form of medical or clinical examination. It sounds bizarre, Chris, I know that, but and in fact, Gary's wife refused to believe or support her husband. And until one night, she phoned me, she says, "Mr. Robinson, can I apologise to you?" I says, "Why?" "You know, I've always never accepted my husband's testimony on this." I says, "Yes." She says, "Well, last night, I was lying in bed next to my husband. I wasn't asleep. And then suddenly I felt my ankles, something on both ankles, and I was being pulled forcibly down the bed. And I looked up, and for a few fleeting seconds I saw two grey figures at the foot of the bed." She said, "Now, I 100% believe my husband, 100%. That case for me, because I was dealing with it, the sharp end, the front end of it, convinced me. I've never seen two more honest, two more sincere people in all my life. The evidence portrayed to me, which I've just briefly touched upon, was sufficient enough to take me off the proverbial sceptical fence and put me back into the believer's camp. It may not convince your viewers, but what constitutes evidence? Is it a good photograph? Photographs can be faked.
Yes.
Good video? Videos can be faked. It comes from the heart, it comes from experience, and as a researcher, this is what we're trying to do, Chris. Pull in all the parts of the jigsaw from different parts of the world.
Yeah.